What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got another Bright Eyes reaction. This time, the album Fevers and Mirrors, brought to us by a friend and brand new patron, Vita. Thank you, Vita. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the things that all the patrons bring to us. We couldn't make it without you. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. You know, I've done a lot of Bright Eyes stuff. There's a Bright Eyes playlist. Go check it out. Tons of album, song reactions, all kinds of stuff on there. Usually my girl Caitlin is bringing this stuff, but now Vita has joined on the Bright Eyes and Conor Oberst train, and there's room for more, guys. I'm always up for some Bright Eyes. There is not a lot of info out here on this album. It's their third studio album, recorded in 1999, released in May of 2000. It was reissued alongside a 6-track companion EP by Dead Oceans on May 27th, 2022, and I remember that. NME gives it a 7 out of 10. And Pitchfork gave this a 9 out of 10 and placed it at 170 on its list of 200 albums of the 2000s. So high praise for this. Doesn't surprise me. If you've never joined us before, the music will not be in this video, but it will be at a Vimeo link below. We'll go ahead and get after this one. We start out with a spindle, a darkness, a fever, and a necklace. That one just rolls off the tongue, right? Like most Bright Eyes albums, it begins with a strange audio clip, which eventually leads into a song with only Conor and his guitar. It's tradition. That's what we do on all of these. This particular song begins with a child reading a clip from the book Mitchell is Moving by Marjorie Weinman Charmot. In the story, a dinosaur named Mitchell has decided to move, and his neighbor Margot tries to stop him. Mitchell goes through with the move, but is unhappy with the decision he has made. The reading, what I was reading here, I was reading a bunch of articles on this album, fits nicely with the rest of the album, which largely deals with people leaving other people and the ways that both parties deal with changes. So it's not just a random thing. It never is. There's always some sort of reason for it. Conor stated in the liner notes to the Noise Floor compilation album that the purpose of these unusual audio clips at the beginning of the albums is a tradition he started to ward off casual listeners, and I've read him interviews of him talking about this a lot. He's like, if you stick through that, then I know you're for real. If you just turn it off, basically we didn't want you here anyway. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. If you've never watched a Bright Eyes with me, I think Conor Oberst is the best lyricist of this century. High praise for me because I'm big time into lyrics. So I will have those up. Thanks again, Vita. A spindle, a darkness, a fever, and a necklace. So what it kind of struck me as the girl was struggling with some words, and whoever it was Conor, somebody else helping them read. Reminded me, it's been a while since I've been through that with my kids, right? I kind of forgot about the times of trying to get through the words and stuff. So that was kind of cool to listen to. And also the fact that she struggled a little bit, it made you be more patient. So I could kind of see the whole theory of like, if you don't want to listen to this, you're not going to want to listen to the rest of the album. Just always interesting to start your albums out this way, right? It's very courageous because people might turn you off before they ever listen to the greatness that is in there. But in it, then Conor starts singing with the acoustic. This is very good production there. But, and he's basically just kind of, it's of course, relationship and this girl leaving him. But at the very end, I think it's, it's about suicide, and they were singing, don't you do what you wanted to. Yeah, don't destroy yourself like those cowards do. And maybe the sun keeps coming up because it's gotten used to you and your constant need for proof. So, powerful lyrics, as I expect. Next up, we have a scale, a mirror, and those indifferent clocks. All right, a scale, a mirror, and those indifferent clocks. This song is 2 minutes, 44 seconds long, but only about the first minute and a half have lyrics in it. And there's a lot of great instrumentation on this album, right? There is on all Bright Eyes albums. They just have a variety of instruments. For example, which I'll point out on the different songs because people just play all kinds of, like Conor's playing the organ on this one. Later on, he's going to play the tremolo guitar and percussion and toy piano. Like there's all kinds of Mogus plays all kinds of things. A vibraphone, a glockenspiel, dulcimers on some songs. So I should have pointed out at the beginning, but you're going to hear all this instrumentation and you're like, what is that exactly? So I thought they brought a nice soundscape to this, that last minute, kind of bringing us out. The lyrics, as you would expect, are pretty darn deep, right? They are pretty deep. And he's just kind of like Conor unfolds a lot of times, like kind of just saying things are random. More than sufficient doubt that these colors you see were picked in advance by some careful hand with an absolute concept of beauty. I know sometimes he goes against kind of the notion of God, and it kind of unfolds throughout the albums. And I'm a Christian, if you don't know that, so I don't agree with those things, but it definitely doesn't make me enjoy the music less. Look, man, we're not all going to agree on things, right? I learned a long time ago I'm not going to judge artists on those things or some of the things they do in their personal lives, right? Art is art. I got to just kind of leave everything everywhere else on any of those other things. He says, now I know a disease that these doctors can't treat. You contract on the day you accept all you see. In other words, life, right? Life is so difficult, right? It's so difficult and nobody can do anything about it. Is a mirror, and a mirror is all it can be. So if you look at the album cover, there's just a mirror, just a lone mirror there. A reflection of something we're missing. A language just happened. It was never planned. And it's inadequate to describe where I am in the room of my house where the light's never been, waiting for this day to end. So I really resonate with that. Obviously, if you're watching this, you probably know Connor struggles with depression and antidepressants and drugs and those sorts of things because of the depression. So he's in his room, he's having a bad day, and he's just waiting for the day to end. And I get that because I've lived with destructive arthritis for 16 years, and some days are bad days, right? More good than bad. It's fine. But on the bad days, you're like, I just got to get to tomorrow, right? So this day to reset, and I'll get to tomorrow. Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll feel better. So I totally resonated with that. And then the last line, in these clocks keep unwinding and completely ignore everything that we hate or adore. Once a page of a calendar is turned, it's no more. So then tell me, what was it for? Oh, tell me, what was it for? So Connor is pondering that age-old, what is the meaning of life, right? Because today I have this to do. I got to get all this stuff done today. But then tomorrow, it's like, today is already gone, right? All that stuff that I thought was so important I had to get done, it's already gone. We're on to the next day. So what is the meaning of life? What are we doing all this for? So Connor gets super deep in a minute and a half of lyrics like only he can do. Next up, we have the calendar hung itself, ... All right, the calendar hung itself. I'll get into the instrumentation first because it's one of them where Mike Mogus is playing the tongue drum. I don't even know what that is. A guaro. I don't know what that is either. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff going on in this song. But the lyricism, obviously it's a quicker song, right? With the arrangement, but the lyricism, there's 100 million things. Basically singing to this girl that he's not with anymore. And he's kind of questioning, well, what about this guy you're with now? How is he? And basically this guy must be obsessed with her. Does he walk around all day at school with his feet inside your shoes, looking down every few steps? So, does he know you like I know you? Does he lay awake listening to your breath? Where you smoke too many cigarettes? Does he worry about you? Does he care for you like I did? And I drug your ghost across the country, so he's still lamenting. I think that he misses her. We plotted out our death. In every city, memories would whisper, here's where you rest. So he's fighting those suicidal thoughts again, I think. I was determined in Chicago, but I dug my teeth into my knees. And then he sings a little bit of You Are My Sunshine, My Only Sunshine. And I kissed a girl with a broken jaw that her father gave to her. She had eyes bright enough, so bright eyes to burn me, that reminded me of yours, and kind of talking about her childhood. And then we get into You Make Me Happy. When skies are gray. So we're getting back into the song. And then the very last verse, with a clock's heart, it hangs inside its open chest, with hands stretched towards the calendar, hanging itself. So we get the little title. But I will not weep through these dying days for all the ones who've left. There's a few that stayed, and they found me here and pulled me from the grass where I was laid. And it kind of the point to that is everybody's left him except for a few, but all it takes is those few in life, right? If you're struggling, not just with suicidal thoughts, just with life in general, you don't have to have a lot of people stick around, but you got to have somebody stick around. So keep that in mind that everybody's going through something, man. You may not see it, but everybody needs people. So very well written. Except we have Something Vague. All right, that song was great, man. That song was great. The songwriting, the arrangement, the vocal performance. I got to read you some of the, I'm trying not to read, I'm trying to be conscientious and not just reading you the entire songs, but it's sometimes, man, when they're this good, it's just hard not to. I'm not going to read you the whole song, but he starts out, now and again, it seems worse than it is, but mostly the view is accurate. So, sometimes we play things out to be worse than they are, but Connor lets us know in this one, it's probably accurate. You see your breath in the air as you climb up the stairs to that coffin you call your apartment, and you sink in your chair, brush the snow from your hair, and drink the cold away. I just want to say, the way he paints the visual, he's very, very talented at painting the visual. I am him walking, I see all of that. And you're not really sure what you're doing this for, but you need something to fill up the days, a few more hours, kind of the meaningless of it all. And then, he's stuck in a dream where he's standing on a bridge in town where I lived as a kid with my mom and my brothers. And then the bridge disappears and I'm standing on air with nothing holding me, and I hang like a star, effing glow in the dark for all those starving eyes to see, like the ones we've wished on. But now I'm confused. Is this death really you? So is he talking to himself? Because maybe he's having suicidal thoughts. Is he talking about his brother who passed away, and do these dreams have any meaning? No, I think it's more like a ghost that's been following us both, something vague that we're not seeing, something more like a feeling. That song is fantastic. Next up, we have The Movement of a Hand. All right, Movement of a Hand. We had Connor on the Rhodes keyboards. We also had Mike Mogus on the hammered dulcimer, because I was trying to figure out what was giving this thing the sound. Then Andy with Masters on the mellotron. So it's some of those things. It has a unique sound to it, and just really good lyricism as well. I'm not going to read all of it too, but and you lay your head onto my shoulder, pour like water over me. So if I just exist for the next 10 minutes of this drive, that would be fine. So he's totally content, so content that if this is the last few minutes of my life, I would be content. But then it just flips, right? And all these trees that line this curve will be rejoicing and alive. Soon all the joy that pours from everything makes fountains of your eyes because you finally understand the movement of a hand waving goodbye. So it all turned from this, I'm so happy, to boom, utter destruction, just like that. So once again, a good offering. Next up, we have a song that Trey and I did a song reaction to 3 years ago for another one of our patrons. It's a Bright Eyes fan, Kelly. So shout out to Kelly. Aryanette or Aryanette, I can't ever remember. But so I've heard this song once. I don't remember it, but I knew that I'd heard something off this album when I saw the album cover when Vita had requested it, because I'm like, I remember that from making the thumbnail. So let's check it out. All right, Aryanette. Definitely a more raw vocal performance from Connor than any other songs on here when you listen to it in the context of the album. So Aryanette basically being a made up word, area meaning like song and marionette meaning like a puppet, song puppet. So he kind of has some allusions in here of depression and those sorts of things. And, you know, the last chorus, so don't leave me here with only mirrors watching me. So you get that mirror that's on the cover of the album. This house, it holds nothing but the memories. And the moon, it weaves silver, but never sleeps. So the insomnia, right? And I totally understand how I relate to that. Then the silver turns to gray. Stay with me, Aryanette, until the wolves are away. So looking for comfort there. All right, we're already halfway through this album as we go to the back half. We got When the Curious Girl Realizes She is Under Glass. Connor told New Yorker magazine, I wanted to sound like someone eavesdropping on their neighbor, like in the next door apartment. So the whole thing's recorded so that it sounds weird and muffled. You can hear the neighbor walking around. I wonder if that's what I was hearing at the end of Aryanette, how we were setting that up. And turning on the TV and looking for a station. Anyone who didn't know the idea would probably think it was the most annoying song ever, but for me, it captured my idea perfectly. There's a song on Bjork's record Debut in which she's in a party and she walks out and closes the door and she's whispering. And it's just so beautiful. You feel like you're in a closet with her and you picture it and romanticize it. All right, When the Curious Girl Realizes She is Under Glass. I thought that was really well done. I mean, I'm glad that we had the background on it. You know, there's not a lot of interviews out there on this, so I couldn't find a lot of research on a lot of the newer albums. I can see what Connor was, I can read what Connor was thinking on every song because he shares it. But that was one of the few things I found here, but I thought it was very beneficial. So you kind of knew what was going on. You could hear the channels turning halfway through. At the very end, you hear the busy signal of, that's what happened. Like a whole generation's no one's ever going to know that sound again, right? When we actually had a landline phone and you took the phone off the hook, it made that sound for a little bit. And then it didn't anymore. It went away. But so the phone's off the hook and he's just in there alone. So I thought the atmosphere was great, which Mike is just credited with atmosphere on this. That's the credit for him, the musician credit. And then Connor's on the piano, and that's pretty much it, because it's really just about building that up. This is tomorrow when I wake up, I'm finding my brother and I'm making him take me back down to the water. That lake where we sailed and we laughed with our father, I will not desert him. No matter how I may wish for a coffin so clean or these trees to undress their leaves onto me. And so he just kind of plays all of that out. So I thought it was really good. And he says, but no matter what I would do in an attempt to replace all these pills that I take trying to balance my brain, I've seen the curious girl with that look on her face. So surprised she stares out from her display case. Next up, we have how I. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. He does say it in the song. I just looked at the lyrics. I could have cheated and wouldn't listen to it, but I don't ever do that. I'll just screw up the pronunciation and then I'll fix it on the back end when we're done with it. Connor has been quoted as saying that this song is actually part one to a two-part set. This is kind of a prelude for the song I've Been Eating for You, which is featured on his album Noise Floor, which I haven't heard. Well, Halai. It's not really a word, right? But it sounds like a lie. That's what I've learned. What a song. It's about a broken relationship and what it does to him, right? He wasn't ready for it to be over. She made him all these promises that she'd always be there for him. and now she's not. And it starts out with a conversation he has with the phone. So the nice blending in from the previous song. The phone slips from a loose grip. Words were missed. Then some apology. I didn't want to tell you this. No, it's just some guy she's been hanging out with. I don't know. The past couple of weeks, I guess. So that was kind of mixed, where Connor's voice was mixed in a different way, sort of in the background, just a little bit. Not necessarily in stereo. But so a friend of his is obviously telling him, look, the girl that you were with is now with someone else. And then it goes boom into just a great mix and a clear mix. Well, thank you. And I hang up the phone. Let the funeral start. Hear the casket close. Let's pin split black ribbon to your overcoat. So he's mourning it like what most of us do in close relationships. We mourn those like a death. And then he just kind of weighs out. You not know what you do, but you tear and tear your hair from roots. From that same head you have twice removed now. A lock of hair you said would prove our love would never die. Well, ha, ha, ha. I remember everything and just saying all of this stuff. And then he gets in there, you combed your hair inside that mirror motif coming back in here. But now we speak with ruined tongues, and the words we say aren't meant for anyone. It's just a mumbled sequence to a passing acquaintance. But there was once you. You said you hate my suffering, you understood, and you take care of me. You'd always be there. Well, where are you now? And it just kind of keeps going on like that, right? And then he gets later on, but I talk in the mirror to the stranger that appears. Our conversations are circles, always one-sided. Nothing is clear, except we keep coming back to this meaning that I lack. He says the choices were given. Now you must live with them or just not live. So either live with that this is over with or end your life. And then he finally ends with, but do you want that? So I think anybody who's had just a really catastrophic ending to a relationship can totally relate to this. And I've had that years, and it's 30 years ago, but I can relate to this. The feelings, everything he was going through is so well written. Now we have the center of the world. All right, the center of the world before I dive into the song. Instrumentation wise, we let the drums, Joe Knapp on the drums at the start, most drum and percussion I've heard on this. The bass work by Matt McGinn is actually coming in here too, especially towards the end. And you have everything else on here. You have a Rhodes, you have an acoustic guitar intro, you have an organ, you have a tremolo guitar that Connor's playing on there. Mike ends up playing the organ and Connor's playing the guitar. So I thought that was cool. But the song itself about the death of a girl, I think the center of the world, and just some allusions on there. You see, we are far less than we knew. We're far less than we knew, but we knew what we could taste. We only knew what we knew, right? And towards the end, any light that still remains in the corner of the frame that you put around her face. So also the mirror, the frame, right? And not sure what these mean. 2 pills just weren't enough. The alarm clock's going off. So to take this feeling away from him, to end his life, to help him, but you're not waking up. This isn't happening, is it? So I guess he woke up and she was dead beside him. But as always, well done. You really felt the emotion in Connor's voice on certain lines. And so I like the way he played that out. Next up, we have Sunrise, Sunset. Sunrise, Sunset, a very angst-driven song, right? From the instrumentation, almost felt like a death march at times. I mean, purposely, right? You had a flute on there that came in, but just kind of driving that point home, where you just kind of felt a little unsettled during the whole song, and even the way that Connor delivered the vocals, and just kind of a quick rapid succession. Sunrise, sunset, swiftly go the days. You wake up, then you undress. It's always the same. You're lying while you confess. Keep trying to explain the sunrise and the sunsets. You realize then you forget that what you've been trying to retain. So like this whole circle of everything's not working out. But everybody knows that's all about the things that get stuck inside of your head. Like the songs your roommate sings, or a vision of her body as she stretches out on your bed. She raised her hands in the air, asked you, when was the last time you looked in the mirror? So here comes that mirror motif. Because you've changed. Yeah, you've changed. You're hopeful, then you regret. The circle never breaks. So it just kind of goes on through all of this. The master and the servant have exactly the same fate, right? The slow death march, here it comes. And that's where I thought it really got into that. It's a sunrise and a sunset, from a cradle to a casket. There's no way to escape. So just keeps going through that. At the very end, where are you, Aryanette? Where are you, Aryanette? So he ties some stuff in there. Well, we got 2 songs left. This one's a long one, but it's very much like the first song, an attempt to tip the scales, because this includes what's an interview with Connor. However, Connor's admitted the interview was something of a joke, intended to poke fun at the dark tone of the album. Connor's voice is impersonated in the interview by Todd Fink of The Faint and Commander Venus. The man interviewing is Matt Silcock, a former member of Lullaby for the working class. So it's interesting that Connor isn't even on the interview himself. So that's why this thing is 8.5 minutes long. Okay, an attempt to tip the scales. I'll get to the interview in just a minute. The song itself was great. It was only about 2 minutes long. I wish it would have been longer, but he's just talking about his depression basically. So we trade liquor for blood in an attempt to tip the scales, right? So I don't know if he's given the blood or it's a metaphor for the cleansing of getting off the alcohol. I think you lost what you loved in the mess of the details. They seemed so important at the time, but now you can't even recall any of the faces or the lines. It's more the feeling of it all. Well, winter's going to end. So he's talking about his depression there. I'm going to clean these veins again, so close to dying that I finally can start living. So a lot of people who suffer with really bad depression, they got to get as low as they can get before they can bounce back up. So he's done that. So close to dying, I can finally start living. And then the interview is 6 minutes long. I'm not going to break it down. I mean, I had it up. I could read everything that they were saying. It's funny, man. It's really funny, and it's meant to lighten things up. So I totally get that one. So yeah, man, I enjoyed that. Like I said, the interview was fun too. I mean, it's really not a part of this song. It's kind of in between these two songs, but they had to assign it somewhere. So they assigned it to this song. So yeah, I thought it was really good. And now we're going to get to the final track. One that the fake Connor said he hadn't written yet. A song to pass the time. All right, a song to pass the time. Really, really well done. I mean, you got Connor on a toy piano, and this is acoustic, right? And he just draws you in, man. There's a lot of lyrics to this, but at the end of the day, he's just kind of showing in the first verse the different ways in socioeconomics that we live. And in the second verse, he builds on that. He says, "So the neighborhood's dimming. I smoke on the porch, watch the people as they pass, and clothes inside their cars. On their face, it's just anger or disappointment." Kind of keeping with the rest of the album. I start wishing there was something I could offer them, a consolation. What could I offer them? And in verse 3, he turns it to the suburbs. And they are sad in their suburbs, robots watering the lawn. So in the first verse, the woman doesn't have a lot of money. Then in the second verse, he's kind of just standing outside, checking stuff out. Now in the third verse, you're going to get into people having some money, right? And everything they touch gets dusted spotless. So they start to believe they're not touched by anything at all. And the cars in the driveway will multiply. Well, they're lost in their houses, in their own world. And the bridge, will I say, hold up a fist to the flame in the sky to block out the light that's reaching for our eyes because it will blind us. Yeah, it will blind us. And then he kind of talks about the different things he's in. And he's like, there's someone looking for what I've concealed in my secret drawer, in my pockets deep. You will find the reasons that I can't sleep. And you still want me, you still want me, still want me. And I see somebody on Genius, the lyrics that I always use. It's just somebody speculating that's about his cocaine use. It could be, but I suspect it's more about his depression, right? It's a secret I have deep inside of me, and it's the reason I can't sleep. And then I said, come for the week, you can sleep in my bed and pass through my life like a dream through my head. It will be easy, it will be easy. And all I have for the moment is a song to pass the time. Get the title of the song here. And a melody to keep me from worrying. It's some simple progression to keep my fingers busy as he's playing a simple progression, right? And words that are sure to come back to me, and they'll be laughing. He just keeps going through that. Yeah, they'll be laughing. My mediocrity, they'll be laughing. So it starts out with laughing and it ends with laughing, this song, but a good offering. And that'll segue me to my favorite tracks. Honorable mention, we got The Movement of a Hand, a song to pass the time, the last one, and an attempt to tip the scales. Just the first 2 minutes, obviously, of that one. Faves are going to be A Scale, A Mirror, and Those Indifferent Clocks. That was song number 2. Something Vague, and Hawaii, 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 Hawaii. Just fantastic. So half of the album's either an honorable mention or a favorite. This one definitely, I mean, most of the albums have some sort of moodiness to them, but this one really, has a heaviness to it as it just repeats those motifs of broken relationships and depression. So I have a feeling I'd like it even more the more I listen to it, and maybe without these bright lights on me and in front of a camera and the lyrics, and just sink into it. I really enjoy doing that with the previous Bright Eyes albums that I have reviewed. So on first listen, this one's going to be a very strong 8.0. I think the songwriting is fantastic, incredibly introspective. Everything I expect of Connor. Instrumentation, him and Mike both play a multitude of instruments that build on the atmosphere, not in an overwhelming way. That's what I like with Bright Eye stuff. You never have these long solos. Not that there's anything wrong with those. I like those. But it's all about the lyrics and the moodscape bringing you into the song, and the instrumentation is secondary to where Connor's trying to take you. And I think that's one of the beauties and one of the things I don't hear people talk about with Bright Eyes. It's all about where he's trying to take you with the voice and with the lyrics, and the instrumentation is a vehicle to get you there instead of being a vehicle on its own over here, if that makes sense. So really appreciate Vita. Great first offer in here. Shout out to all the Bright Eyes fans. Caitlin, Kelly, all of you out there. You're always so kind in the comments. And man, I've become a huge Bright Eyes fan. I need to see them in concert if they're not coming to Dallas. Connor, if you're watching this, that would be amazing, right? Connor, if you're watching this, come to Dallas, man. Please, please. All right, guys. Let me know what you think of this album. Where does it fit for you in the ranking of their albums? And until next time, I will see you.